All right, hello. Today we are going to work on Unit 9 for English 12B in this quarter 2, week 6. So we're going to cover the first two tutorials in Unit 9 today. So the decline of the Victorian era in H.G. Wells. Next week we'll do war literature, and then the following week, when we get back from break, cover Unit 10, and then you'll be done with English 12B. All right, so your learning target for today is that you will be able to investigate the causes of the end of the Victorian era, and you can also see how writers of the time reflected societal concerns in their work. So, as always, you want to make sure you go through the tutorial. However, most of what we're going to do to answer the questions about this story will be going back through the tutorial. So it's important to understand like what's going on in this area, the idea of colonialism and everything like that that's happening. But that's not what I'm going to focus on, because I just want to talk about this story, Kim by Rudyard Kipling. So we're going to I want to look over the questions, but we have to kind of flip back to the tutorial to get the answers. So let's just read over the questions. Please do what you can to read over the novel, what excerpts are here. Don't necessarily have time to read over all of it in class, but it's an interesting story and it gives you an idea, even if you just read a bit of it to kind of get the feel for his writing that is there. So, why might Kipling have used India as a setting for his novel Kim? Explain how Kim's heritage influences his relationships with the people he encounters, including his friends. What does Kim think about the British who live in India? And then modern readers will benefit from reading novels such as Rudyard Kipling's Kim. Write a short argument either for or against this claim. All right, so why might he have used India for a setting? Let's go to slide 24. So first off, he was born in India, so he had a lot of experience in India. His father was an artist and a teacher. He was always exposed to arts and scholars from India. He spent the first 6 years of his life in India, then went to school in England, and then came back to India. So he had a lot, of reason to write with his setting as India. Additionally, down here, much of his work focuses on the British Empire and colonization, and India is the largest country that once was a British colony. So those are some reasons he might have set it in India. Additionally, he found inspiration in the colonial empire that the British had built. Again, India is a big part of that. It is also a very beautiful country. So that's just some of the reasons right there. Slides 24 and 25 right in the tutorial. Okay, so the second question asks us to explain how Kim's heritage influences his relationships, right? So we learn that Kim is an orphan. He lives on the streets and in India. So how does it influence his relationships with his friends? How does he think about the British people? So if you go through the excerpt, you do all that. Okay, so if we're looking in this, in the opening lines, Kim and a native boy named Chotalal are playing. They're playing this thing kind of like King of the Mountain. So I think it pops up here. So it's really interesting because Kim is technically British, so but he looks and acts like a native Indian child living in this area because he's homeless. So it's really important when we're looking at this particular question for part B, how does his heritage influence his relationship? Well, he's technically white. And so when he is playing this game, this sort of like king of the mountain thing. It's really an examination of the idea of white colonialism. And even though these are his friends, this is where he lives, this is the society that he's involved in, he's still a white person and still, you know, can be king of the mountain or whatever. In this case, it's the canon. And so it's important to note that. And then he does not feel that he belongs with the British, because that's the second part of the question, is how is he, what's the actual question? What does Kim think about the British who live in India? So he's estranged from the British white men and women. He feels the same mistrust that many Indians do. So the answers are right here. Why? And then, so this is sort of helps you give an idea of why for part C. Modern readers will benefit from reading novels such as Kim. Write a short argument for or against. So, but it helps you kind of understand the historical context. It helps you understand white privilege and just so those sort of ideas. So I can't really help you answer this question because it is asking for your opinion, but this gives you a little bit, you know, of information in that previous slide on slide 29 to help you answer that. And that's pretty much the decline of the Victorian era tutorial. Don't know why I keep calling it area, but definitely make sure you go through all this. Comes up in your test. All right, so that covers that tutorial.